Hi guys, how you doing? This is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com, my site where I blog about all the things that I've learned from and about the tarot cards, where I review tarot decks and books, and I also make videos about tarot stuff via my YouTube channel. I also, of course, do tarot readings, and I also teach slash mentor, not slash actually, teach or mentor tarot students. I've also written a book where I show how you can use basic storytelling techniques to really make your readings, come together. If you're interested in any of this, the links are in the description that accompanies this video. Now, I'm sure all of you must have guessed what this video is all about. I'm going to be reviewing this very lovely deck called the Osho Zen Tarot. The reason you are seeing the deck out of the box and all of that is because I got this deck. Oh my god, this really brings back memories. I got this deck at least 11 odd years ago. This was back when I was living in India. That's when, I'd just gotten into the Rider-Waite. And yeah, I think I didn't even know about the universal weight. And then, back in India, all you could find were some really weird decks. And then this one was there. So, and of course, I have a very interesting connection with Osho. Not me personally, but my first tarot teacher, she was a believer, disciple of Osho, and she was an American woman who totally believed in him, and she lived out the rest of her life in India. And there's an Osho ashram, I believe, in Koregaon Park, where I spent the last few years of my life, over 5 odd years of my life before I came or moved over to the United States. So there's a lot about the works of Osho, you can say, I understand there's a lot of controversy. There's this whole Netflix documentary. You can totally go check it out. But what I'm saying is, putting aside all that controversial stuff, there's a lot about, he was a very learned man. And so a lot about what Osho said, in his talks or in his books. If you sit and think about it, it's very Zen. It kind of just sort of eventually trickles down, or just boom, there's yes, understanding kind of a thing. And back in the day, I remember in Koregaon Park, there was a restaurant called Gourmet. Now, I don't know how many of you people who watch my videos also know of this. But back in the day in Koregaon Park, there was a restaurant called Gourmet, where some of the images, I remember the Three of Cups, the Ten of Rainbows. Those images, I have seen them, the paintings, right, in this cafe restaurant, underneath a big slab of glass on the table, or this Ten of Pentacles Rainbows was literally a mural on the wall. And this was when I did not know anything about tarot. And then when I saw those images, there was this sense of familiarity with them, and I was like, where have I seen these pictures before? And then it was like, oh my god, it just struck me. So I have all these memories associated with this deck, all things, little connections that come with this deck. And so for me, this deck has also got a very sentimental connection there. And yes, it was over a decade ago. I remember it comes packed in a nice box, but back in the day, I wasn't all about keeping the boxes. I was like, throw away the boxes, let's find a nice bag. And so that's what I did. And you will see this book is a little worse for the wear, and maybe the deck the cards too, but indulge me. Okay, I'm totally gonna go for it, and I'm gonna show you my Osho Zen deck. Before I do that, though, I'm just quickly gonna flip through the book, or rather the books. Now, the deck comes along with this book, this very nice book. It's not like, you know, it's a book that opens like this. Okay, it's very, you know, how do you say it, rectangular. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's not like your normal book. It's not like this shaped. It's open like this. And I believe somewhere in there, in the back of it or something, let me see. Yeah, they do also recommend another book called Tarot in the Spirit of Zen. And I did manage to pick this one up also, you know, eventually, somehow, when I could buy stuff off of Amazon sitting in India, credit cards, yay. So I have this book as well. So I'm just going to quickly run through the books for you. Okay. Now, the first book that I'm going to look at, let me put this aside as well. This first book that we're going to look at is this book that comes with the deck. As you can see, it's a lovely book. And it's got a lot of very interesting Zen type quotes on it, and even in it. It's a little worse for wear, so just bear with me, because, you know, it's been a while. It's many, many years of use that I've put it through. There's an index, and there's a list of the cards. I hope you can see it in the video. The major and the minor. Now, the suits are named a little different, but anybody who's worked with the Rider-Waite shouldn't have any issue. You have the suit of fire, the suit of water, the suit of clouds, which is for air. Fire is for wands, water is for cups, clouds is for air or swords, and rainbows is for pentacles. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, there's a little bit of an introduction. Oh, sorry, these pages have come out, so I'm just being a little gentle with this book. So, I mean, so I wouldn't recommend this deck completely for beginners, but it's not something that, you know, you have to wait till you are some sort of an advanced reader to pick up. If you have some basic familiarity with the Rider-Waite, or even with tarot as a system, you can very well pick up this deck. The only how do you say, preamble or preface or what, you know, suggestion I could say is that be aware that this deck comes with it's a very different thought process. I mean, yes, the interpretations are very much aligned with your traditional tarot symbolism, but then the approach is very different. You will, you know, first, like very standard, you have your card image, you have a commentary which talks about the very interesting aspect about this card, and then you have something that I believe you could say is quoted by Osho, or quoted from one of his talks or discourses. And oops, I have to be really gentle with this. And so this goes on for all of these major arcana. All right. And sometimes you have stories, and sometimes you have all these interesting things. It's just the way the whole thing is explained. It's very interesting. You have to read it. And then, of course, you have the minor arcana cards. It starts with the king, the queen, the knight, and the page. And then, you know, so there are all these court cards at first, right? King, queen, knight, and page. There we go. And very interestingly, the card meanings, let me just go there. They begin with not the ace, but the 2. Yeah, they begin with the 2 of the suit. And from there, you go, and here we have the 10, and then I believe is the ace. All right, that's how it goes for all the suits. Begins with the 2, all the way through to the 10, and then the ace. So you go through that for all the cards, which, don't worry, I will show you the cards. That's what this video is about. Just being very... And then you have these spreads. Yeah, there's a diamond spread, the flying bird, the key. Then you have the mirror, Celtic cross, relating, the paradox. There's a bunch of spreads so far, and which is pretty interesting, this glossary of symbols. So, all the different symbols that have been used in the imagery have been explained. It's in alphabetical order. And then a little bit about Osho and the resort, or what we used to call the ashram back then. Now it's called the resort. Don't ask me. And then a little bit about the other book, and a little bit about the illustrator, who is Deva Padma, or her original American name is Susan Morgan. And, her, a little write-up about her. And the references to other books that Osho has written, and so forth. So that is that. And it's a good book. If you're going to delve into this deck and its imagery, it makes sense. If you don't pick up the other book, also, in my opinion, that's okay. It's fine if you don't. This book is really good enough. It will get you through the imagery there. I mean, really, honestly, that's my honest opinion, because I, went overboard and I ended up buying this particular book, Tarot in the Spirit of Zen. Oh, it was tough to get through, even for me. And I'm someone who back then would really love to read all these deep kind of books. But this one was like too much sometimes, right? But it takes a moment. I would say don't if you're going to buy this book, and if you're going to read this book, don't rush through it. Don't look at it I have to finish this in 5 days or something. Don't do that. This book, the second book, has a lot of meaningful, spiritual, and sometimes very rambly text in it. So it takes a while to get through this. It takes a while for the stuff to even sink in. All right. So give yourself plenty of time to work your way through this book. The second one, the Tarot in the Spirit of Zen. Right? Because this one fully has all the stuff that Osho has quoted. So what they have done is, because Osho never really sat down and spoke specifically about the tarot as far as I can remember or tell. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But so what they did is they took the keywords and they found passages or passage from his various books and talks where he talked about that concept, and if it, how it related to it, and they just have put it in here, okay? So it takes a little bit of doing, right? So that's why you have sometimes got these snippets, right? And so it goes for each card, pretty much. That's how they do it. Seven, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so in this book, it's, I believe, so for each suit, they talk about the suit element a little bit. They go through the court card, king, queen, knight, page. Court cards are done, and then they start with the ace and work their way through to the 10. Okay. And so on till the and then we have a table of correspondences. So which card is, corresponds with the card in the Rider-Waite deck and the Crowley deck. for all the suits and the majors. Okay. And then again, a little bit about Osho and the meditation resort. Oh yeah, see, this is how the box was when I got it. Oh yeah, and they have stickers, I believe. This is I forgot about this. My God, see, it's been a while. So they have these little stickers. Do you see that? Only the major arcana though, but they have these tiny stickers. I believe you can. I don't want to. You can maybe just take them out and stick them somewhere if you want to. Very interesting. All right, so these are the two books. Again, like I said, this first one, which comes along with the deck, great book. And if you don't want to buy this book, that's fine. You can completely go ahead and work with this book. And you can, it's got a lot to offer. Trust me, even if it looks tiny, there is, two different ways or aspects. There's a commentary, and then there's a lot of information in here. Even if it looks that, it's so little, it's not. It's a lot to take in. Just sit and think, kind of a thing, right? It's lovely. And if you want to go ahead and get really, really deep, this is also the second book, the Tarot and the Spirit of Zen book, is a good book to have. But again, while you can read through this first book a little quicker if you want to get working with the cards, that this is all, you need to take your time with this one. I'm sure you'll keep coming back. I definitely did. It shows from the condition of the book. But this is a book which takes a while, the second one, the Spirit of Zen book, right? This is a book, you don't give yourself a deadline or something with this one, and work your way through it slowly. Okay, that's just, my personal take on it. So, okay, let me go now and adjust the camera angle so I can show you the cards more beautifully and effectively and in all their glory. Okay, be right back. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, this is the image of the Fool card, and I believe these images were hand-drawn, illustrated. They weren't, this is not, digitally created. They were actual paintings, as far as I can tell, and they've been very lovingly created. You can sense the love, I think, in all these images. Maybe I'm just a little bit biased for this deck, I don't know. I love how there is a black border, because somehow, it kind of makes the colors pop out. But my only complaint here is the card back. If you can see this and this, right? So let me make this reverse, and right away you can tell this is not reversible. The card backs are not reversible. Immediately you can make out if the cards are upright or reversed, right? That is my, as everybody who's watched my videos thus far, the review videos, knows, it's my pet peeve when the card back is not reversible. And I believe either this is the signature of one of the artists or something. I honestly, I do not know what this is. If someone knows, I would love to hear it. Okay, anyhow, so as you can see, the imagery of this deck, while it does in some cards, like in the Fool card, it does follow a lot of the traditional Fool card symbolism. You move on to the next one, and here this is supposed to be, similar to the Magician card, and it's suddenly very different. It's not your same old magician that you're used to seeing. This is very different imagery. This is very just different. This is a different kind of a magician experience. This is existence, right? And I like how each of the cards has a name. Personally, I'm not a big fan of having keywords here because that is a very big distraction, but each of these cards has a name. It's a little bit different from your regular names sometimes, but it when it is different, or even when it is like in the Fool, it does add value to what the card image has to say. This is beautiful, isn't it? This is one of those decks that invites you in to do those, card, entering the card visualization exercises that I have one of the articles on my blog. Wow, this card, I've done a lot of very interesting exercises with this one. I'll tell you that. The High Priestess is called the Inner Voice. I mean, for a deck that, this is another testament, I would say, for a deck that I have worked with, for 10 years or more. It's stood the test of time. The cards, well, they look used. Yes, of course, they're used, but they don't look worn out. They still are alive with energy. Now, the Emperor card, as you can see, this is the card Major Arcana 4. This one has been shown as the rebel, and as you can see, he's breaking the chains. It's pretty interesting. I like the eagle imagery because, again, this comes in from a lot of traditional decks too, the eagle imagery, but I like how he's breaking the chains. I mean, he's taken the artist she has taken the imagery from your traditional tarot and she's given it a very interesting twist. And I like this. I like it a lot. It gives a different perspective, a different story to tell. Nothingness for the Hierophant card. It's a blank. This is very evocative. Trust me. Lover. Now the Chariot card becomes awareness. Oh, yeah. If you guys are seeing my card a day for this month, March 2019, I'm doing my card a day with this deck. So, courage for strength. Gotta love this card, aloneness. This card really, really brought it out for me. Like the difference between loneliness and aloneness. Something to think about. Breakthrough. Very different take on the traditional version of the Justice card, isn't it? And so Hanged Man becomes new vision. Death becomes transformation. I love the imagery is so powerful. It's not funny. Devil becomes conditioning, see? Tower is thunderbolt. Star is silence. Moon is past love. Sun. Beyond illusion. This and the Empress. These are the images on the book. Book cover. I like the very interesting imagery of what's the world card, traditional world card, and this is called completion. And look at this, all jigsaw puzzle pieces being put together. Isn't that something, right? Now, there is one more card that comes in this deck, the extra card, the 79th card, as it were. It's called the Master, and it has a picture of Osho on it. So, completely your choice. You may keep it in your deck, because the book talks about this card, meanings and so forth. Or you cannot have it in your deck. I kept it in here for the purposes of showing you the deck, but I often don't put it in there because I do like a lot of stuff that Osho has written, don't get me wrong, but I like to work with the traditional tarot framework, as it were, and I think that the 21 cards of the major arcana, 22 cards rather of the major arcana are perfect. You don't need any more, is my personal belief. So, okay. This is the Ace of Wands, the source. This imagery is just too powerful sometimes. You just have to take a breath. Two of Wands is possibilities. Three of Wands is experiencing. It's a very different take on your Rider-Waite imagery, I will tell you that. Four of Wands is participation. Five of Wands is totality. Six of Wands is success. Seven of Wands is stress. Eight of Wands is traveling. Nine of Wands is exhaustion. And 10 of Wands is suppression. The Page of Wands shows up as playfulness. The Knight of Wands shows up as intensity. The Queen of Wands shows up as sharing. And the King of Wands has the keyword of the creator. Now, the next suit is in this here is the suit of clouds or swords. And the ace is called consciousness. Two of clouds is schizophrenia. Three of clouds is isolation. I like how this play of words has happened. I mean, I just love play of words, but this is too good. And you gotta check out his rainbow tears. Huh? That's something, huh? Four of clouds, postponement. You gotta love how they've used black and white and color and, to convey something. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Five of clouds is comparison. Six of clouds is the burden. Seven of clouds, which is your traditional seven of swords, is, guess what? Politics. It's his die that starts to look like a snake. And a rattlesnake at that too. Oh. Now, Eight of Swords, guilt. Nine of Swords, sorrow. Ten of Swords, very interestingly, is rebirth. Page of Swords is mind. Knight of Swords, fighting. Queen of Swords, morality. And the King of Swords, control. Okay. Now, the suit of water, or traditionally the suit of cups. Ace is going with the flow. The two of water is friendliness. The three of water, celebration. See, this was one of the images in that cafe. I have seen the oil painting of this. And trust me, I mean, yes, this image is powerful, but if you ever get to see that, oh my God. And I was so silly, I had no idea about these images. Otherwise, I would have, oh man. Now that cafe is gone. Oh, I believe there's a cafe coffee day over there. Oh, man. It's a total 6 of cups thing for me, just when I think about this particular deck, I just go back in the past. 4 of water, turning in. Very interesting. Turning in. 5 of water, clinging to the past. 6 of water, the dream. The 7 of water, projections. 8 of water, letting go. 9 of water, laziness. And the 10 of water, harmony. I love these dolphins. The Page of Cups becomes understanding. The Knight of Cups, trust. Check it out. Jumping. The Queen of Cups becomes receptivity. And King of Cups, healing. And finally, we come to the suit of rainbows, which is your traditional pentacles. So the ace is maturity. The 2 of rainbows is moment to moment. A 3 of rainbows or 3 of pentacles is guidance. It's a very totally different take, right? Some of this imagery ties in with the Rider-Waite. Some of it you can say may have a little bit of a connection. Some of it is just all, totally different. So reading the book is very, very kind of important. The book that comes with the deck. Better read it if you're going to work with this deck. Okay. 4 of rainbows is the miser. Especially sometimes there's stories in these images, and it's good to read those and good to know what the artist was trying to convey here. 5 of rainbows, the outsider. The 6 of rainbows, compromise. 7 of rainbows, patience. 8 of rainbows, ordinariness. 9 of rainbows, ripeness. And this was the second one. I think this was the mural on the wall, this whole painting. 10 of rainbows, we are the world. This was the big mural on one big, the one wall in that cafe had this big mural. This one, or painting. I think it was a big ass painting right up there on the whole wall. And silly me, I wasn't into tarot back then, and so I was completely clueless. Otherwise, I would have definitely taken pictures and I would have shown them to people. Here, Page of Rainbows or the Page of Pentacles is Adventure. This is a card I just like. The moment I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm in love. I can so see myself here. Now, the Knight of Rainbows is slowing down. Turtle, so cute. Then we have the Queen of Rainbows, flowering. And then we have the King of Rainbows, for abundance. All right, so that was my little quick review, flip through of the very, very lovely Osho Zen Tarot, The Transcendental Game of Zen by Deva Padma. Right? Now, it is again, to summarize, a deck that you can pick up as a beginner, but I would personally recommend having some idea of what the Rider-Waite deck is all about also, because it's good to have a sound grounding base before you get into something that is somewhat radically different, even though deriving of the stuff from it. Okay, so that's that. Then it is also a good idea if you have a bit of an idea of some of the very, the way Zen topics or stuff is kind of talked about or, taught. So have a little idea of that. Even if you say, let's say you don't have an idea, that is also fine. You don't have to be some great, person knowing all Zen aspects and stuff. But just keep an open mind when you read through. Oh, look at the card I pulled up. When you read through, the commentary and the information, because again, keep yourself open to all the possibilities and, everything that these cards have to offer. The imagery of the cards is breathtaking, to say the least. The cards are really good for meditative experiences. The entering the card, the active imagination, visualization kind of exercises. The cards, you can also use them, especially if you're going to use two different decks to do a reading. You can use these cards with any regular deck that you like to use to give it an added layer of a, very spiritual, very creative, very different perspective there, but that adds so much more of a different angle, so to speak, to the cards, to the story, to the reading that you are going to be doing. So I often used to pair it with my Rider-Waite deck, because that was the deck I used to use. I still use that a lot, my Universal Waite. So I pair it with that, and the readings are phenomenal, let me tell you. Okay. So this deck really by itself, yes, this deck you can use not just for your guided visualizations or active imagination visualization exercises, yes, but if you have some really deep questions to do with where you are asking yourself stuff, where you are doing like a philosophical sort of inquiry within your your inner self, or delving deep like that, it is a phenomenal deck to work with. Right, this deck, more than the Rider-Waite, if you ask me personally, on my journey where I worked with a lot of issues from my past and I journaled a lot, and this was one of the decks that I worked a lot with back in the day, and it really opened me up to a lot of deep insights. So this again, I know I might come off sounding a little bit too biased or sentimentally attached to this deck, but I am, and it is a great deck to buy. Okay, and I know that Osho might be, is very much surrounded with controversy, but I would say for a minute, suspend all of that, all that, and just go through the book. Right? I'm not saying you have to start following him or anything like that. Just go through the book and read through what is written and let it open up your mind. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to become a disciple or anything like that. This is the tarot. This is the amalgamation of pretty much everything that's out there in the world. So Zen is part of it. And this deck opens you up to a very interesting perspective, and it keeps it real. All right, so that was my review. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to follow me on social media, the links are in the video description: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of it. You can totally follow me there. And if you want to sign up for my newsletter, which I send out, I think once every 2 weeks or 1 week or something, but once in 15 days anyhow, totally sign up. There's a bit of content in there which does not appear on any of my social media sites. So, that's your added incentive there. And once again, thank you for watching my video. I hope you like it. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you again in my next video. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.